We'll wait for Corey to get back.
Did Garrison reach out to you?
I didn't hear anything.
He wanted me to pass along that he is unable to attend this evening.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
For obvious reasons.
all right.
He's not here.
If everyone,
No, I mean the holiday.
if everyone's ready.
Ready?
All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order Monday, March 17, 2025 at 6:01 PM. If everyone could please stand and face the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Sure,
All right, Susan, could you please do a roll call?
sure. Andres,
Present.
Layton,
Present.
Reardon, Walsh,
Present.
Hepmer,
Here.
Stuzinski.
Here.
LaRose, here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, move down to the agenda. If everyone could please review for any conflict of interest, and if there's none, move to approve the agenda.
I'll move to approve the agenda
I'm
with
so
a
s-
correction
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
of the upcoming meeting date for, it should be April 21st,
Oh,
Oh,
2025.
That is corrected on the one that is posted and the one that is
Okay.
available for the agenda. I didn't correct it prior to sending it out to you guys.
Thank you.
I was going to say, there's nothing on here about our discussion about the M-Parks conference. I don't know if that needs to be an agenda item or not.
I was going to provide at least my report as part of the staff report.
Staff report,
portion,
okay.
just
And then we can
offer
discuss
an
it then.
opportunity To
Okay.
discuss whatever everybody else learned.
Cool.
all right. I'll support the agenda. Walsh, motion to approve the agenda as presented with the change of the upcoming meeting date for April 25th, 2025. Andrus supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. All right. Move on to public comment. We don't seem to have any public here this evening. So we'll move on to the approval of the minutes from February 24, 2025's meeting.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All right, motion made by Walsh, second by Hetmer, to approve the minutes from February 24, 2025's meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Correspondences, I think I received a handful.
I think we had a couple of emails related to the open house,
Yeah. Yep.
providing some feedback.
Yeah, Holiday Woodlands. Claire sent an email about the Tart Trail work bee opportunity. I think I received one from this Easy Ice backyard ice rink guy again, but I got one a while ago. Some guy's trying to sell backyard ice rinks. Who's this? I think this Carolyn Meyer, she said there's no subject or feedback. I don't know what it's for, but
I think since she sent it on the same day as the other person
Okay,
talking about Holiday Woodlands,
yeah,
I was just
yeah, yeah.
assuming they were the same.
I'm assuming
That's what I
it's
thought it was too.
Yeah.
Mr. Bernie Holly Woodlands, yeah.
such a treasure, which I'm sure she's referring to Holiday Woodlands, but better parking and more signage, so. And then Sam also had some quarterly updates for Little Free Libraries and geocaching. So that's for the volunteers. So that's all I had. So. All right, moving on to reports. Garrison's not here for the treasurer's report. If everyone would like to just preview the treasurer's report in your packet, if there's any questions, sure Sam could help if there's questions.
Try my best, but I can find the answer.
Yeah.
Do you
I
know
don't-
what the 4875 is for Arbutus 5? Okay. I'm guessing it's probably some sort of fee or something.
I don't know, looks like it's a refund.
Yeah, that would be a positive.
Yeah,
I don't know. I can find out though.
I don't need to know, I'm just curious.
Yeah, I can find out.
okay. Well, if there's no other questions. Move on to staff report. Sam, you wanna?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was able to post the geocaching event. So that is May 3rd from 1 to 3. It is on the geocaching website. It's also linked on our township website. The other update on the website is that the Pine Grove survey is now live. So we're doing a survey for Pine Grove Park. It's on the website. The Pine Grove neighborhood residents received a postcard in their mailbox if they live there. Kind of with a QR code and some information about how to do the survey. That will be open until April 1st. That's not a joke. And the farmer's market vendor application is also open. That will be open until April 18th. We are accepting applications for any vendors. We're especially food trucks. We also offer food trucks here at the township, so that's kind of an exciting, unique offering that we have. I am still plugging away at the T-Mobile grant. It is on track to be submitted by March 31st. Grace McDonald Park update is we are working through the process of issuing the RFP for various components of the warming hut and fire pit. So I was able to get some more solidified numbers and all of that, and we're working on kind of getting that RFP out there. TBD on that. Beth is working on playground surfacing materials. So we typically order our wood chips every few years. She's working with other municipalities up here to purchase in bulk, potentially saving us money and increasing the frequency of when those get resurfaced. So more information to come there, but hopefully making that a little bit more efficient rather than having to buy a ton of material all to ourselves. The board meeting is coming up on April 14th, and Zach and Ryan both agreed to be there for that. I will have a quarterly report ready for you shortly. I'm still in the draft phase, so I will send that over once that is solidified and ready to go. And then just to keep on your radar, that we do have to do the parks tour at some point this year. We're kind of looking at the June timeline for that. I will have more details to come as we plan that out. So switching gears from kind of updates to M-Parks. So 4 of us attended the conference this last round, which was really awesome to see all of you guys there. I was able to attend some of the pre-conference things as well as Tuesday and Wednesday's sessions. The pre-conference ones that I went to that I found really interesting were the Using an Inclusive Lens and the Bucket List Life, which were a gentleman who professionally skydives and gave a keynote speech on how to embrace life and put your efforts towards what you want to put them towards. You know, it was kind of a brain exercise in why do we always wait to do the thing because there's no time, there's no reason, but if it's important enough, we figure out how to do it, kind of a thought process. The Inclusive Lens one was really interesting because it had a manager exercise, which was really helpful to kind of look at your own management style and how you communicate with others and how to better do that. We had, all of the group was blindfolded except for one member, but they could not touch anything. So they could only speak and see, but we could not see, but we could touch. So it was like everybody had various components of being able to function, and you had to work together as a team, which was really interesting. And then the AI seminar that I went to was actually really helpful on kind of how to integrate AI into your marketing and how to create potentially like informational videos or other things like that. So I'm kind of going to be, there's a couple like things that came up last year with the farmers market about people showing up in May and asking why we don't have strawberries, and you're like, well, they're still growing, and some of those educational component things that I think could be really nice to plug some of that AI in, because I'm not a professional videographer, but AI can do it for you, it sounds like. So kind of implementing some of those tools into our own marketing and branding. And then the really interesting one was the levering partnerships and enhancing farmers markets. And so one of the things that became interesting to me that we don't do is they actually have people sponsor their farmers market in the form of they will sponsor a cooking demonstration, and then maybe that person can hand out spatulas with their branding on it, or different ways to get local businesses involved and invested in the market, as well as just provide more programmatic stuff at the market. So kind of exploring what that would look like on a policy side first, and then potentially have some information for you guys on that. And the Beyond Ramps was a really interesting one because it was from the perspective of a parent with someone who has limited mobility issues. And so it was really thinking about like, okay, so you're going to put your kid on a slide and then they're going to go to the bottom of the slide. But now how you get the wheelchair all the way over there, down the ramp and over there, and for like 10 seconds worth of fun versus like one unload for 15 minutes worth of fun, so that parent isn't running all over trying to figure out how to get their kid back in their wheelchair. So thinking through like, it's great that we made it accessible for the kid, but also the parent that has to help the child function at that playground. So that was a really interesting perspective to hear about. And then tried to find you guys somebody that was redoing lawns at the trade show, but I could not find anybody. So I did find some other really interesting people and got a couple brochures on some playground equipment that kind of to beef up our little library of internal reference tools, but was kind of a swing and the miss on the couple things I went to go specifically find out about. And then that was what I took away from that. I thought it was really helpful and really informational. Got jealous of the places with like 7 staff for a parks commission or parks department. You know, that was kind of like, oh, you guys have that many people that do all this? That sounds fun. But yeah, the farmers market one was really helpful because it reassured me that we are on track. Like they are about 7 years out, we're about 2 years in, and it seems like we're building momentum in a similar fashion. And I was like, oh, we did that. Okay, cool. So that was very helpful. I don't know if you guys had any other
Yeah, just.
takeaways.
Yeah, to add on to the farmer's market session, I attended that one also. One of the things they really lean into, and it was, who was it? It doesn't matter, they were great. They really lean into like working with healthcare providers, and so they have like local primary care offices come and do, I forget if they were like sponsors, but they're like really heavily involved in that way. And they have nursing students from their local college or university come and do like blood pressure testing for folks.
That program was really
that was really
interesting. It's
cool.
retired nurses.
Re-
It's actually retired
It's
nurses.
retired
So the
nurses.
other end.
Yes.
And they come and they help teach
Yes.
people. The program was that they were given a certain number of blood pressure monitor cuffs. And if you participated in the program throughout the course of the season and attended all 8 markets, you received a blood pressure cuff at the end of it. And the nurses taught you how to use it for like their
Yes.
older population.
And you had to come and like prove to the nurse there that you could,
That you've like
that
gotten your
you've
stamp each
practiced it,
month
and
like,
that you
have been
knew.
using it and,
Yeah.
and it saved somebody's life.
It did. They had a really nice story about how it did legitimately save someone's life, because if she hadn't have been getting this regular reading, the nurse wouldn't have noticed it. No one would have
abnormal.
noticed any abnormalities. So anyways, very cool stuff, and I thought that was really neat, and it really ties into the food security. Like, I know that the township office is like a drop-off or a pickup point for, I forget the name of the program, but it's the one that connects seniors with food.
And MCAA just did their drop-off today, the commodity food distribution program.
Thank you. That one, and so I just thought that would be a really cool fit in. I have a lot of other things to say about my attendance there, but I didn't want to like, I feel like we're just kind of like yammering at you instead of this being a discussion. So just like, I know we went to a dog park one.
That was an interesting one.
That was a really interesting
All
one.
that goes into a dog parks.
Lots of like good ideas and considerations for when we're getting into like the nitty gritty of what we want ours to look like and be and what resources we want it to have and things you have to think about, like asking the local sheriff's department if they would mind if we would put up a sign that says, you know, if you experience like X type of unruly behavior, like call the cops, like don't call the township office because we actually have no authority over like your issue,
Yep.
things like that.
Saturday, because nobody's here.
Well, yeah, that sign in particular was for like, if you have an aggressive dog,
Got it.
I wouldn't expect you, Sam, or Dan, or anyone else to go out there and try and break up a literal dog fight.
Controls.
Yeah, and animal control, yeah.
I went to a handful, but the one that I'll talk about is the importance of proper field maintenance. And I did get some contact, it just, I didn't think to bring it, sorry.
No worries.
But it was kind of interesting to see, you know, a lot of the stuff that they need to kind of make sure is level, like the lip of the outfield and the you know, different types of clay and stuff for building mounds and stuff. And it just made me wonder, like, you know, where we're at with this. I know an Eagle Scout built that ballpark, right? Or something like that back in the 90s, I believe. But I'm just wondering, you know, as far as moving forward, because there's obviously, you know, activity that takes place there where it's pretty regular and, you know, every year. So, you know, it makes sense to try to get it up to speed and different things you can do to make it look good, especially at Grace McDonald, because everything else there looks, you know, up brand new and stuff. So it's just kind of do some modifications just to get it up to speed and, you know, get the grass and all that, because it's, you know, it's watered, right? I believe that one is watered too, so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're
So
irrigated.
that's like the biggest challenge is, you know, getting the watering down. So if we already have the water, you know, the rest of it should be, you know, pretty easy to manage, you know, once we got the right system in place. But, you know, it's something cool to see. Of course, the dog park was cool to see too. I'm still trying to envision this at Grace McDonald, but I know, you know, people like to have dog parks too, so. But- And I also learned that there's certain parks out there that have, like, they're designated to allow your dogs to run off a leash. I don't know, because there's a state law that says, you know, you can't do that, but I don't know how that, if there's an exception or anything like that, but, I mean, it might be worth looking into, you know, seeing that, you know, sound like there's some dog owners who, you know, kind of look at the woodland area as a place to let their dogs run off leash.
I don't
So
know.
like an authorized leashless park?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I don't know, it's, you know, if it's against state law, it should still be a no, but I mean, I'm just curious, it made me think, because that, you know, we've always told people that, you know, you can't have them run off leash because it's state law, you know, so the fact that there's some municipalities out there that have designated parks where they can do that, yeah, it just had my wheels turning.
Was that part of their presentation?
Yeah, it was the guy that was giving the
Like, he mentioned
presentation.
whatever community it was?
It was his community
Oh, okay.
that did it,
I
and,
might be able to look that up.
yeah, I don't know, I'm not super jazzed about that idea, to be honest, especially in a place like Holiday Woodlands, where you're kind of like out there. And since we are giving them like a nice, like, designated dog park space, that does get a little confusing with messaging as well, as far as like off-leash, on-leash. And I think we would probably want to be consistent with other natural areas and parks in the community. And I know they really struggle with like trying to get folks to keep their dogs on a leash.
That's just the thing, people are gonna do it anyway, so make a place where they can.
Yeah.
Well, what I learned when I went there, I went to 4 different seminars. I did Building Better Trails and Bike Communities. That was a really awesome presentation. Norte did a presentation there. Tart Trail, and then the North Michigan Mountain Bike Association, CHAD. And I do have all three of their emails. Like, that might come into play, the North Michigan Mountain Bike Association for the trail infrastructures. I mean, he said basically have professionals, but he would be that connecting person, say if Holiday Woodlands ever goes that route. Tart Trails, I loved it. They had volunteers that they hand out gotcha cards. And so like, say if someone's doing something on the path and that a volunteer notices that they're not supposed to be doing, you know, it helps break up that, say, hey, you're not supposed to be doing that. You know, they hand a gotcha card, thanks for listening, after they tell you, well, you got to keep your dog on a leash, or don't ride side by side on the path, you know, you want to do a single line so people can pass. But it takes this negative and turns it into positive. So they have coupons for a cup of coffee or ice cream, and thanks for listening to our conversation, let them go. So I was so impressed with Tart Trails and Norte's marketing that I walked away thinking, wow, that's great, some things that they were doing. Anyway, so
They're doing that now?
that's what they told me, yeah.
Don't go to the trail and start breaking rules.
Oh, it's for a cup of coffee.
I mean, no, I'm not, but
Is it Moomers
this,
ice cream?
it's like literally the first thing I thought of was like,
I think it
eh.
is, actually.
Yeah.
And they had a really good etiquette workshop, so I was impressed with that presentation. And then bridging gaps between marketing and recreation. And of course, these were major parks and recs communities, like in Chicago, that they actually have their own marketing director there and that. But the takeaway that I did get from that, from some of my notes, was to make sure that you have a brand, that your township has a brand and everything matches it. So going forward in the future, up the road here, like the farmer's market, I was just thinking on the way over when I looked at these logos, they all need to have the same color choices. I mean, if we're going to ever get into that next step of branding the township, so that they know when they enter into East Bay Township, whether it's the farmer's market, the community garden, or the waterfront strip there, that they use the same, the same
brand.
PLU color choices, and they're all mixed in together. So I have a remake of that one already. But, so that's what my takeaway was, that on that seminar. And then the two that I really enjoyed, that I'm going to try to get for sure on one of them, the actual PowerPoint presentation. And that was inclusive play design. She was awesome, Jill Moore. She herself was handy able, and just a spitfire of energy, and she herself had experienced all of these things. So inclusivity in play design, she had some great ideas that you would never even think of. I walked away from her just loving it. And then to back that other seminar that I saw you at, Sam, was Beyond Ramps, Designing Playgrounds Through Parents. Just some common sense things that you would never incorporate. So I know when we go to pick out playground equipment going forward, I really want to be a part of that, just from those seminars that I went to. I have a ton of brochures for inclusive play, from autism to just all those different types, that they are all inclusive, and they can make it like having a double slide, and also having swings that are opposite swinging. Just things like that. And I did get brochures on that. I did have a brochure on ground cover and that for playground area, although I'm not an advocate for wood chips, and neither was this Jill Moore, especially for wheelchair accessibility. And then what I thought was really cool, also, I think Beyond Ramps, she might have mentioned it. If she didn't, I'm pretty sure she was the one that mentioned about having the play area at least fenced-in type area for for the inclusive, to have that security there. So I just thought that was really interesting. And the play area, they said that the outdoor recreation has increased this past year over pharmaceuticals use. So meaning that people being outside, it's continually growing. What they also are structuring, which I did pick up a couple catalogs, is not only play areas for up to a 12-year-old, but then there's that second group of people that are teenagers through middle 20s. And then there's the adult physical play area. And the in-between play areas, you know, we would have room at Grace or any of our parks that we should start incorporating that all-age inclusive close to the children's play.
We had quite a bit of fun on that one piece of
I
equipment.
will show you a video when we are all done here.
Great.
I'm just thinking like, well, I'm 30.
We had a ball.
So anyways, and I have brochures on that age group of what could be done. And it's also not only a play, but it's also exercise, obviously, in that. So I felt that that was an important element too that we're missing in East Bay Township. So I'm still going to do my bullet point notes, and then I'll hand out to everyone or email, and then we can just keep those ideas always and go back to them, I guess, when we get ready to start going through each park.
Yeah.
So, thanks.
And I think that app is still up where you can access a lot of the information too.
Yeah.
If your instructors and stuff are
Yeah.
out there.
I did reach out to the emails there, so yeah, and I did download that app.
The dog park one and the maintenance one were ones that I wasn't able to go to. If you guys are able to get those presentations, I would be interested in seeing either of those. And then, yeah, definitely get me that guy's contact for the maintenance stuff, because I want to kind of wrap my head around what we're looking at
Yeah,
McDonald's.
it'd be nice if he could, kind of visit the site and kind of give us an idea of some ideas, and, because maybe they could recommend some ideas too that, we're not thinking of.
Yeah, there was also a company that did porous materials
Porous walkways.
that had
Yeah.
Did you
offered
talk to
that
them?
they
Yeah,
were
I
going to
got
get me some
Okay, I think we
information
all
on
did.
where they have them locally installed already
Yeah.
to possibly go take a look at, just because I thought I think they said they have one at MSU that they've had for 20-some years, and it, with minimal maintenance, has held up quite nicely, but that I would think is a more urban area. I was kind of like, what about up here, like where there's a beach or natural area or leaves? And so I think they have one in Glen Arbor, but still working on getting that info.
I have their business card too.
Yeah.
If you want that. That's all I have to say.
Oh, you guys got?
Okay.
Well, thanks for attending and getting some good feedback and notes taken, so. Is that all you had, Sam, for staff?
That is all I have.
Okay. Well, if there's no more on that, can move on to 8C, the geocaching subcommittee. Nothing new from the geocaching subcommittee other than May 3rd, 1 to 3 for our geocaching event. So, I don't know if Ryan, you had anything else? Okay. All right. Nothing else there. We can move on to business before the Parks Commission, 9A, the market manager recommendation. So you can see in your packet, there's a possible motion to be made for a proposal for a market manager for the East Bay Corners Farmer Market.
But isn't that still taking applications? Or no, that was just for being a vendor?
Yes, the vendor applications are still open until April 18th. This was for the market manager RFP that we had put out.
Okay, and when was the deadline for that then?
That was open until March 7th.
7th.
So opened in February, open
Okay.
until the 7th.
So you did already receive all?
Yes, we put it on the township website, we messaged it out kind of every which way we could, and we only received the one application.
I was going to ask, how many did you receive? Okay.
You said you only received one?
Yes.
Okay.
And then how will that be paid for, through funding?
So we had actually, yeah, we had allocated $5,500 for the food security incubator in the budget for 2025. So that will come out of that.
Was that part, was that 5,000 part, or anything to have to do with the community garden too, or?
No,
No.
at this time, it was just for the farmer's market, because that's all we have operational. So we don't need staff yet for the community garden.
Well, no, I meant some of that money was going to help start doing some things for the community garden, so that's not going to.
I don't remember that being part of the discussions when the F funds were allocated. It was just to help support some sort of manager for the market and kind of the marketing and branding for that so far.
Yeah. I think there was discussion at some point too, that would be a potential role that that person could. I think that's where you were hearing.
Say that again?
I said, I think there was discussion that that could be future role of this market manager is to help at some point, but.
Yeah, if the skill set allowed itself, I think at the time, we didn't know who the candidate would necessarily be that
Yeah.
applied, so we didn't know if they would have the skill set to do both the market manager and the garden, because they're kind of different skill sets in like horticulture background versus running a business kind of thing. So if that candidate does work to be both, then absolutely. If it becomes that that's a part-time person that runs the, because it's a better fit, because they're
Yeah.
a master gardener or something like that, or whatever, then like, we would come to kind of that bridge when we get there, once we've built the garden a little bit.
Okay.
As far as the attendance at East Bay Township required meetings, are they going to be expected to, report monthly, or would it be beginning or end season?
I think-
Yeah, I think they'll be engaged through staff on that, and then, yes, they would offer an annual report at the end of each season, was kind of how we had anticipated that. If needed, they could attend more meetings, but I don't anticipate there being a lot of reporting other than the final one that just says,
Oh, I
we've
think
had this many
necessary.
people show up, and here's how the market went, and.
Sam, I can't remember about, are they going to be like a subcontract or part of, like an East Bay employee? I can't remember. I think it said something about that in there. Do you
As-
remember?
As far as this, they would be like a contractor. They would be applying as their own entity to run the market, similar to how they run it for the Downtown Development Authority for the
Right.
Sarah Hardy.
And they do that?
They do,
right?
yes.
And I like it. I think it's a great opportunity.
And I thought their marketing, there's going to be somebody there that's going to be really taking that and moving it, you know what I mean? Specifically, if this is decided to go this route.
I think on the marketing side, the township will still be heavily involved in its own marketing. They may help promote, like cross-promote, we would create the graphic that then they would share, essentially. I think that's more of how they'll fit in. And we also have potentially the communications person for the township coming down the pike, so that might also have to be figured out as far as kind of how that all meshes together. But we would all kind of work together on that marketing component.
They do have they've got a nice established community base already though, so just like having that partnership and, most folks in the community, even if they don't know specifically what they do, they've probably heard of Seeds.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be a benefit to us. I also like that it's an organization, they kind of talk a little bit in their proposal about like what their organizational structure is and what positions would be involved, which positions, would be involved in helping this out. So it's just nice that they have like internal facilitation support.
They're doing it already.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. And they seem to be kind of like right on par as far as budget. Do we need to be mindful of any other costs that like, any other things we may need to pay for out of that 5,500 that this won't cover? Or do we have enough of a cushion there to do that?
We have enough to cover the proposed contract as is, and then what we would need to be concerned about is what would be considered administrative services for that 40 hours a week, or $40 per hour, because that would be additional on top.
Oh,
So,
got it, yeah.
we will use those sparingly and as needed.
Is that the one where they come to the meetings?
Yeah, some of
Yeah.
them will be for the meeting attendance, but
This
then
meeting or the subcommittee meeting?
they would
Probably both.
theoretically attend both at the end of the season to give their final report to the Food Security Incubator Advisory Committee and then to you guys, unless we deemed it unnecessary if they did the food security and then
And then
food
we could
security could
just-
report
yeah,
out
a
or
written report,
kind of
yeah.
how that works. But I mean, they've factored in 4 to 6 hours pre-market for the season and then, a few hours throughout the market season. So I think
So
we
where
can.
would that money come out of then?
It's
That
if
that in
we,
addition?
it would be only if we use it. So I don't anticipate, I mean, we handle most administrative things here. Their role is really sitting out there to run the market and then assisting as needed. But I can't imagine a ton of administrative costs that they're going to need to take on.
But I wonder what, if there was, where would that come out from our budget then?
Well, total, like, looks like annually they have 4320 for the total amount, and we have 5,500 allocated in the budget for the effort of funding a market manager and the marketing for that market. So unless we utilize their extra administrative time, we shouldn't have to worry about that. And we could always amend the budget if we find that we're using a ton of their administrative time, but I just, again, I don't anticipate needing a ton of it with having staff helpful.
I think it's nice they included it, so that, like, if this becomes something like bigger next year, we have an idea of like how much money we might want to budget for it next year if like administration ends up being like
Yeah.
too much on our staff.
Cool. I'll make a motion. Move to approve Seeds Ecology and Education Centers as the vendor to manage the East Bay Corners Farmers Market as described, presented, and discussed.
All right. Motion made by Walsh, supported by LaRose to move the approved Seeds Ecology and Education Centers as the vendor to manage the East Bay Corners Farmer Market as described, presented, and discussed. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passed. Sweet.
Do we need to do a roll call vote on that, or no?
I don't believe so.
I think,
I don't believe,
I don't
because
think so.
money's involved, is that why?
Yeah.
I don't think it's actually,
We already had it budget, we already had it
You aren't
budgeted.
adjusting the budget at all, you've already budgeted the money for 2025. You're just
So-
approving the actual person
Person.
that then be,
Allocation.
that money would then be spent on.
I think we're good with the roll call. I think we're good with the roll call,
Yeah, we don't have to do it.
so, yeah. Well, if there's no more on that, we can move on to more public comment. There's still no public present.
Did we want to sort it and just talk about what date possibly for the parks tour?
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be, I have
Yeah.
some vacation
Yeah.
time, just want to make sure I'm there.
Yeah, so I guess the next upcoming meeting date would be April 25th.
21st.
Oh, 21st, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah,
21st.
21st.
Yeah.
And then for June, we were talking, doing our annual parks tour. I guess if everyone just look at their availability. Typically, we did it the week,
I was going to say, that can happen, you could even do it at the same time as your current parks meeting for that month and just have it be
For what,
at the parks. You know,
Yeah.
you're all there, it's open to the public, you would
No,
message
though,
it
we
out.
did that, we've done that before, and we end up like,
we don't like it.
it's
Okay.
just too much.
It's too much.
So you want it like a
Do all the
separate,
Yeah.
parks and to
Okay.
take that time and then come
is it,
to a meeting.
I think we've done them the week before our June meeting.
Typically, it was the week before, but I don't know what our business will be for June. If there's not a ton of business, we could potentially just do a parks tour and,
And why
Here.
wouldn't we want to do it in May? Just questioning.
May's a little bit too soon, just in like weather aspect of things. I'd like to give Dan a little bit more time to do some,
Oh,
spring
agreed.
cleanup,
Yeah.
that way you're looking at the parks in a better condition than just like
May
right
could
after
be
the snow.
snowing.
Yeah, that too.
Snowing.
I want to say typically
I
it's
think
in
we've used-
June.
We
Okay.
do June.
So how's June 9th? It's the week before our meeting.
That sounds spectacular.
I'm available.
Is that our quarterly visit? Oh, no, that's
Oh.
July.
Yeah, July.
April. April's the first quarterly meeting with the board.
All right, so I'm saying again, June 9th?
I'm available June 9th.
Did you want to do it at what time are we thinking?
We meet at 1 by like 5:30, I
Yeah.
think we've done it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
5 or
we just- We
5:30.
kind of have a little route that we do. Now, last year, we did not do,
Can we go places we didn't go last year?
we didn't do number 5 last year because it wasn't.
It was under
still
construction.
I don't think we did Holiday Woodlands either.
No,
That
it's
is
kind of like a
correct.
drive-by.
Yeah.
Typically, we started at Jen's.
Oh, Pine Grove. We did
Pine
Oh,
Grove.
Pine Grove, yeah.
Yes, we started at Pine Grove.
Jen's,
Yeah.
and then we went,
We went over to Killingsworth and we just looked at infrastructure there.
we drove up the hill past Holiday Woodlands. We didn't stop.
Right.
I mean, that's really massive, and we could at least stay.
Also, if
there.
all of us were trying to go there at the same time, parking would be an issue because that parking lot,
Right.
Yeah.
I'm excited to figure that out.
Sometimes we go to the water tower.
Yeah. And then
I'd go to the
we-
water
we
tower.
Stopped at the water tower, and then we went over to Killingsworth.
We didn't go to the water tower last year.
No, we did not.
But we have in the.
We have-
Oh, sorry, I thought we just talked about last year. My
I
bad.
was just sort of saying the route,
What do we want to see?
Grace.
What's,
and then, we should put the Pines in there. We haven't been to the Pines, for what it's worth, but that should be on the route, maybe, over. So we can decide, but if we all meet at Pine Grove, that's usually get this side of town.
I can come up with a idea of a draft plan and have that ready for your next meeting to discuss if you guys would like, as far as exactly where you're going to go. But knowing that it'd be on the 9th from 5:30-ish is enough for me to go on.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I think we can probably adjust the routes too if we're running out of
Yeah.
time. It's kind
we
of,
could break it into a
On the
couple
fly.
different days too, if we,
We can do
Yeah.
that, too.
because in the past, we hit all of them, and I'm talking easements.
Even the easements.
We hit the
Oh my.
easements.
Yeah, and we did easements, I think, just separately, and that,
Oh, could have been.
we ended up going into, it was getting dark out, it was like 8 o'clock,
Yeah.
into the easements. Yeah, so, I don't know, that should be,
What easement do we have besides Chandler Lake?
Oh, no.
oh,
there's-
yeah.
Like
There's
Spider
one at
has
Spider
3.
Lake.
Oh, I've never done
Yeah,
that.
Spider Lake
I
has
did Chandler. I
two.
remember
Yes,
doing
3.
Chandler.
Spider has 3.
Connecting park properties, or?
it's
They're literally
breaks out.
paths. Like a human being can fit down the
Just a
path,
right of way.
and, yeah.
Mhm, You're right.
That is township owned.
Yes, there's 3 on Spider, and then there's Chandler, but that's,
The Sugar
yeah, we should see that, too.
there's one on Tibbetts.
Yeah, I've never
Tibbetts-
seen that one.
Tibbetts was in the backyard.
I mean, it's just off the road. You know, there's no parking or anything. It's just
And same with the
vacant
one on
land.
Spider, I mean, it's
Mhm.
great sandy bottom once you get to it, but it's a total incline. And you know, the properties on both sides were sort of encroaching in on that. There, at one point, there was those metal signs that says property of East Bay
Those
Township.
are
but,
done for, yeah.
Yeah, they were all rusted and on the ground.
There is a, thank you for saying that out loud, there is a sign that is knocked over at Holiday Woodlands. I took a picture of it. No, not that one. This is one that's like, it's like off over,
Is it a township one or?
you know what,
It's
that's
like
a really
dog
good.
bag.
It's like a dog bag one, and it's got like, it's like there.
Okay.
It's like right on the main trail.
Impressive. That would
Yeah,
be challenging to knock over, but.
yeah, but yeah, you know how there's kind of that
The
like,
bear did it.
that would be so nice if we had a bear neighbor.
Sorry.
I did, right in my sidewalk.
We've had a couple in our backyard, yeah.
Yeah, the cubs.
Yeah.
Bears in my neighborhood, I'll just walk right in.
I know at the,
Enough of them, though.
the public session for the Holiday Woodlands, I think there were a couple individuals that wouldn't mind meeting some of us out at Holiday Woodlands at some point too, and they seem to be pretty heavily involved and want to be involved, so.
I think with that property too, it might be worth looking, going to all the different entrances of
Yeah.
that property.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I was looking at some of them at the open house and I'm like, I don't know where that one is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've only really gone through that one off of 5 Mile.
Well, the other ones are just easements
Access points.
off the subdivision and,
Yeah, the
Where-
one on the south was part of that development. The one on the north that goes to the random square that's just out in the middle of it is an easement for utilities. And then the one on the very, very north is kind of like accessed through Holiday's property, so it's not really a official trail, but it is kind of in there, so that we have to kind of formalize that a little bit more.
I would be interested in going on that visit and talking
Yeah.
with folks. That's one of my favorites, and I can like bike there.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
That
how-
should be its own thing.
That-
I don't
that
think
would
we should try
definitely-
to-
Oh, yeah,
No,
yeah, it should be
it'd
totally
definitely have
different.
to
Yeah,
be its own thing, but there was interest, talking with the people here tonight. Then
Yeah,
there's,
we had met once before, right?
yeah, right at the
Yeah,
beginning.
Right after we purchased it.
Yeah,
Okay, so maybe
So-
another
yeah.
open house style event there as part of the planning process.
There's also mention too, with the agreement with Mount Holiday for trail maintenance, but, so I think we budgeted some money for that,
Wasn't it like 5,000?
5,000.
Trail maintenance
TART.
agreement.
I don't know who's managing that agreement, but kind of sounds like might not be, they're not doing,
I'm curious if that TART trail management agreement is actually
Snow
for
plowing.
the
Snow
snow.
plow.
and the- Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't know, I don't know if that was just word from an individual that there's money. I don't know if, I thought it was a volunteer.
I don't know that we have any
Okay,
designated funding for that. I can
that
find
might,
out.
yeah,
But yeah,
That
I
might
think
be-
that, the
That's
idea
for
with
plowing.
the TART trail stuff is for plowing
Right.
on the, like, the safe.
I'd be interested how much we
Trails.
spent this year on plowing. It was a lot of snow.
yeah. But that was brought up, that
Used to be 3,000.
comment that we're paying Mount Holiday $5,000 and Mount Holiday's not doing, but I thought it was more of a verbal just agreement that they would help
Who would help? Holiday?
Mount Holiday.
Yeah, that's,
Mount Holiday was, I knew we talked, I don't know if there was any contract and money, but it was brought to my attention that,
I don't know of any, but I will make sure I ask about that. Get clarity on it.
yeah. I just, if we are spending money, it'd be nice to make sure. But then again, the trails aren't really marked trails either. There's a lot of just custom trails, so,
Yeah, we would need to, I think, establish what our trails are in order to maintain them.
Yeah, especially at Gransworth, too.
This looks like a good trail.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that should be, you know, it'd be nice this year to get some markers or some signage for trails, at least at Grace and for sure Killingsworth, but
Yeah.
let's see.
Yeah. Yeah, well, if there's nothing else need to discuss, we can adjourn the meeting at 6:51 PM.